out on. Hello, yes, okay. So, welcome everybody. We are now live on Facebook. I will just quickly double check. I have a really amazing guest today. As you can see, Madlena Ulrich, the famous, the famous Madlena. No, I'm joking. Sorry, I'm Madlena Ulrich, an AMI 3 to 6 guide who is now collaborating with Montessori, who now collaborates with Montessori Institute Prague. And we've collaborated in the past, but now we are diving into the period of an intensive relationship of planning a 3 to 6 diploma course. So welcome, Madlena, to this Facebook Live. And I'm so happy you're doing this. I actually kind of enjoy these live sessions. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see on your screen, but on my screen it says 2 people are already watching us. So
Okay.
I can see it there, and I can also see it on my phone. So we want to say hello to everybody who's joining us on this live, and we will dive into asking Madlena all kinds of tricky questions in just a second. No, I'm joking. Madlena is very kind. She's very busy. We have 3 people joining. I want to say hello to whoever's watching us, and please put in chat who are you or where are you watching us from, because this is always really exciting to see that people watch us on Facebook. So whoever watches us, please say hello, and we'll see your note here, and I'll show it to Madlena so that she can also say hello. So Madlena, my first question for you is, obviously a lot of people know you. You are one of the trainers who are quite active on social media, and I'm very happy about that because I think it's really important that people, that we work on letting the world know about Montessori, and one of the ways to do that is on social media. So
Mm-hmm.
okay, so here we have the first people joining. Catherine from Konsberg, maybe you know her, and Tina. Hello to Lima, to South America. Tina's one of our faithful followers who's always there when we do something. Can
Great.
you please tell people a little bit about yourself, but more like your Montessori story? Do you remember when was it that you first heard about Montessori, and just a few words about that? Thank you.
Yes, certainly. So thank you for inviting me. I've never done this kind of format before of talking online. So thank you for that, for letting me try that out. Yes, my Montessori story started with me being a Montessori child. I went to a Montessori elementary school in Düsseldorf in Germany. Um,
Mm.
After my parents had made that decision that, second child should maybe go to a different kind of school. They looked for the first child too, but there it was not available yet. So
Yeah.
luckily, I was born a little while after, and so yeah, they were just generally looking for, I think, alternative ways of schooling, because they had their own experiences with school, and my sister's experience with school, which was not necessarily just positive. So I think Montessori probably just was picked by them by chance because it was closer than what then was the Waldorf school, where you had to go by a car, whereas for the Montessori school I could just take the tram by myself. So that's and I enjoyed very much going to school. I might have been a child who would have enjoyed any kind of
Anything.
school
Yes.
really, I think. But I do remember very much when I, played with my friends who were all going to different kinds of schools, that I always wondered about how they could learn anything in their kind of school, because when we played out and talked about school, there was said that no, we have to just sit at our on our chairs, we have to sit at our desk, and only the teacher can tell us to get up or to get something, and we are just doing what the teacher tells us. And I thought that was a bit strange. I was wondering about how can you learn anything when you're just sitting there and waiting for the to tell you something. So that's why I also came back to Montessori as an adult. So when I, moved to Norway in the meantime, and then after all the obligatory schooling, I became a preschool teacher at our university college. And after that, or during that time when I was taking the preschool teacher training, one of the local schools went from a public school to a Montessori school, and then
Hmm.
also a children's house. And that's where I thought, ah, Montessori. Oh, that was nice. I like it. So, and it was fairly new still, or it was not widespread. I mean, the first Montessori children's house was opened in Norway in 1969, but they were very alone for a very, very long time. And then there was the surge in the 90s, in the early 90s, and this school where I then applied for a job had started also in 1990, and then the children's house in 1991. And
Mhm.
so that's where I applied for a job. And yeah, luckily they took me because that's where I basically stayed for my whole adult life.
Wow. Yes, yes. So do you always know that you're interested to work with children of, primary, of the kindergarten age, or how did you?
Not really. I never was a good babysitter. Luckily,
Uh-huh.
very few people asked me. I mean, I was not like bad, but it's not like I said, "Oh, please, please ask me." Or if there's somebody had, little brothers and sisters, they were tolerable, but also often annoying. So not particularly interested. Not in the way of caretaking and oh,
Yeah.
they are so cute and so on. But I do remember moments early on in my maybe more like upper elementary, like 10, 12-year-old self, where I looked at children with a certain fascination. Where I looked at young children, the children between 3 to 6, and thought, why are they doing that? Or why are they thinking like this? Or isn't it really interesting that they do this?
Mhm.
So there must have been something that caught my interest, but it was
Mhm.
certainly not that kind of interest that you often think of, that, oh yeah, I was a
Mhm.
passionate, babysitter and
Yeah.
always went on the tours with the children and so on, because we were quite a lot of children in that area where I grew up. So lots of a big group of mixed age groups playing together, and kind of like learning to get along with the little ones and the older ones and so on. But yeah, it was not necessarily
Mhm.
that I
That's
said, oh,
interesting.
I want to work with children. I had all kinds
Mhm.
of ideas. So that idea of working with children just came relatively late.
Mhm. Mhm. That's interesting. But you had like a scientific interest in, observing them and thinking about why they think that way. And yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, feels a little bit like that. Yeah. And of course, after I moved to Norway as a teenager, there also came a time of reflection about that of my own childhood, because suddenly I was there with other people and I had no childhood friends. I remember very distinctly that was a little bit weird, that you could not talk to anybody about your childhood and you didn't have any kindergarten friends around, right? All this had to be created anew because I was in a new country surrounded by new people, right? So that makes one reflect a lot about how is this different from the way I grew up, and what did I do as a child, and what did I miss about my friendships and my relationships that I had when I was a child.
Okay. Oh, now I'm curious to ask you about your inner child and stuff, but I think we want to talk about other things, but we can have that conversation some other time. You
Mhm.
are coming to Prague with a diploma course. We are really excited about that. You travel a lot. Maybe, I mean, it's like, how do you do it? I know it's like I follow you on Facebook, and you are here, and you are there, and you are everywhere, and you spread the word like a true Montessorian. Just tell us a little bit about your that side of your trainership.
Well, um, actually, that's one of the reasons why I became interested in, or even started thinking about becoming a trainer. I was in 2005. I attended to the international conference, the Montessori conference in Sydney, Australia, and
Mm-hmm.
used that occasion also for a 6 week roaming around Australia exploration tour, which ended then up in this conference. And one of the trainers there who lectured, she started her lecture by saying that, oh, I just came from Turkey where I gave an assistance course. And before that, I've been here. And at the moment, I'm working there. And right there and then, I very distinctly remember I thought, oh, I want that kind of job where I can travel around the world and somebody else will pay for it. And I, can even, get paid from it too. So I thought, oh, yeah, that kind of fascinated me. So, and then I also, um, well, not that really that I traveled much as a child, but in the summer vacations, I often
Mhm,
traveled with parents
mhm.
and, the kind of like camping and, cabins and all this kind of thing. So traveling and that didn't scare me at all. I was rather
Yeah.
interested and rather, always wanting to do that and see more of the world. So that's probably
Mm,
also has something
yeah.
to do with it.
And you
And then
also have
basically it was just, one thing leading to the other. You get to know
yeah,
somebody who asks you, can you come and train? And there you start. And then somebody else hears about it and said, how about coming to us? And yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you also have special interest in languages, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
so that's also one reason why I felt, let's say,
yeah.
comfortable with it, that I
Mm.
had learned certain useful languages in school, English, of course, French, Russian. Then also because of my history of changing countries in the middle of my young life, and then learning a new language and also becoming more aware of what
Mhm.
does it mean to be bilingual or to speak several languages, that also gave me an advantage.
Yeah.
So now having the chance to work with training courses in China, Romania, Russia, Thailand, that all gave me the possibility to
Norway.
dive much
Yeah.
deeper into these
Yeah.
languages and find out how lovely this Montessori approach to language works to
Yeah.
understand a language. I mean, not necessarily speaking it fluently, but understanding how it works.
Mhm. So
Mm.
you have there are people here whom you might know. I put their names up as they came, but there's Catherine from Norway and Mary Beef from Norway. Somebody is here. Oh, Tone Knuts also, and then somebody from Skopje, from North Macedonia, and from Vietnam. So we just want to say hello to everybody. Thank you for sharing where you have joined from. It's
Yes,
really fun to see you. And if you
I
have
do
any
know them
questions,
all of them actually.
yeah, you do?
Yes, the
Yes,
Norwegian.
okay. That's what I thought. Because we all follow your, globe-trotting adventures, and you have many friends on
Yes,
Facebook, I
yes.
know. If anybody has any questions for Madlena, you can please put it in the chat. We'll see, and she can, we'll see how much time we have, but she can try to answer some of it. The biggest question I have for you is about what makes a great 3 to 6 guide. We would like for people who are watching this live to take something home and some food for thought. So because we have a 3 to 6 diploma course coming up with you in the spring, this is an obvious question. What you have so much experience working with adults, training teachers and training guides, and I'm sure you can tell a good 3 to 6 guide at first sight. So please share with us. Thank you.
Well, in general, I would say a good Montessori guide, regardless of which age group, really, needs to be a person who has the ability to persevere, right? To keep going on despite being, yeah, tired, or oh gosh, it's Friday, or this is the end of the day, or all the reasons that do make us want to just leave our job and close the door and that's it. And of course you need to have a certain balance there, because there is never an end to this work. So you could always say, yeah, whether I now work 5 more hours and go home at 10, or whether I do it 7, there will still be work left in the other end. But it's something about that, really understanding what is important for making this environment and this community of children work, and being willing to say that, okay, in order for everybody to start a good day tomorrow, I do need to have a last check around the shelves and see if everything is there, so that the children can start their independent work tomorrow and do not have to take out something and then there's something missing, or they have to come to me to ask for help and these kind of things, right? We need to, of course, be very observant. right? Because in a pedagogy where you are claiming that we have the child at the center, that really means that we are observing and trying to figure out what the child is telling us through their actions, through the things that they're saying, through the things that they do or not do, right? And then try to figure out how can I respond to that, right? What kind of interest does this child show me that they have? How can I respond with the right kind of presentation? What kind of social relations do they have? Do they do fairly well, or do they need help and support so that they can create friendships or function better in a group? Um, so and children are not at this age, they don't always show it very clearly what they need or what they don't need. That's why we get sometimes behavior which we misinterpret. We think
Mm.
that they are bored, but they are really, just generally tired or hungry, or they are unsure, right? They're not sure whether they can succeed, and maybe they are a little bit of the shy type of child. So it's better to pretend that they are bored, because then they don't have to do it, right? So that kind of like knowing the temperament of the children, being able to respond to that, um, having this understanding that there's always meaning in what they are doing, and they're always trying to tell you something through the way that you're doing, but it's your responsibility as the adult to interpret. And that's why we need to learn so much about who they are, right? That's why there's such a great or a large amount of time in any AMI course is spent on studying that child and really trying to tell us that who are they at that particular moment in their development, because they have all very specific characteristics, in addition to their own personality and their temperament, for example, and their the way that they are function as individuals, right? So that's really something that we need to learn. Otherwise, also, guides need to be good at cooperating with other adults. That's very important for all of us who are working with these young children. We need to cooperate with their parents. And parents nowadays, they are often overwhelmed by all this advice that they're given left and right, and then on social media and the newspapers and the books, and you were reading one thing one day, and do this with your child, and then the next day it's something else, and don't do that you read about yesterday, because those people don't know what they're talking about. So it's very hard, it's very confusing. And it's, in addition to all these other demands that you have to fulfill as an adult, right? So for us who work in a children's house, we are really in this long-term relationship with any family, right? It lasts at least 3 years, maybe even longer if they have been in the same place in a toddler environment, right? Or even longer if it is elementary. I mean, I had families because I worked in a place where there's both toddlers and then now up to adolescents, right? I knew these families for 10, 15 years with several children, right? You really have a long-term relationship. So you need to learn to communicate clearly, to get along, even though these adults are maybe very different from you, right? And of course, also the colleagues are very important, right? You need to become that kind of team.
Yeah.
So a big part of being a good Montessori guide is also that introspection, right? That
Mm.
learning to really say that, am I reacting like this
Mm.
because I feel hurt or upset or bothered? So me as an adult, right? And why am I doing that? Maybe there is some, childhood trauma or something in the back that makes me upset about this kind of thing that is happening here. What is stressing me out? What's giving me energy? Um, what would the perfect day look like for me? And then also realizing that for my colleague, that might be different, right? So how are we going to cooperate around this, because as adults in the Montessori environment, as anybody knows, we don't have much time to talk. There is, yeah, there's meetings. Some countries we are lucky, they are paid somehow. So in many countries we are not so lucky. So that's your spare time, right? And so yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, both for the adult, with yourself, as a group of adults, and then of course with the children and in the environment. And that's why you need that grit and perseverance, or just go like
Yeah.
going on, right?
Yes. Oh, I made a list. So I'm just going to say it if people join, because this was really interesting. I asked Madlena what makes a good 3 to 6 Montessori guide. And Madlena said, generally, maybe for all guides, that perseverance, being observant, knowing what is important. It's like almost like choosing the battle which you're going to fight, but knowing what's important, and then cooperation and communication and ability to introspect and reflect. I especially resonate with the communication and collaboration part, Madlena, and with the fact that a good Montessori guide, it cannot be when we say she's good with children, but she's not good with adults. Kind of, I think that it's like we work with the family as a whole, and
Hmm.
if if we want to be good guides for the children, we have to be able to communicate with their parents as well, and with our colleagues. So
Mm-hmm.
it's this whole kind of holistic ability to communicate with everybody. So I really like that. So if somebody who is listening now is the head of a school or a future school founder or school administrator, Madlena just gave you 5 or 6 really important things that you need to look for in future Montessori guides, and if you in your future Montessori guides, and if you are thinking about getting trained, this is your task list almost.
That's what we're going to work at. Yes,
Things
definitely.
to
And
work
the
on.
training has as its aim to help the adults to transform them, right? To really work at those competencies. Many might think that, oh, Montessori is just about learning materials, right? But it's far from that. I mean, yes, the materials are important, and we work a lot with them also, of creating our albums and drawing them and so on, making materials, right? But it's that inner transformation that is important, and that is also happening through that work with the materials,
Yeah.
right? It's when adults start working, and the students start working with practical life, and suddenly you as a trainer get the question from an adult person of, how do I tie a bow?
Hmm.
That's a little bit of a bizarre question, but on the other hand, that's where that transformation happens, right? That when the adult starts to analyze a lot of these things that we do automatically, and that we think automatically, and that we are not really aware of, right? That this is that first step into that heightened self-awareness and self-discipline, of saying that, oh, my hands don't remember, or now that I'm thinking about what they are supposed to do, right? And so we need to we are working quite hard at that transformation.
Yeah.
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 So I
So
must
there.
also say, I want to add that, this is it's not only hard work. I mean, yes, we need a lot of self-discipline, but of course you also need humor. You need
Yes.
love, right? The humor is the part that's going to carry you through the day. That sometimes you are just like by what the children say or do, and it's just kind of hilarious. But and that is what really helps you to have fun with them, and to just enjoy being that. And that's also where you find out, when you take that training, that there's something about that age group that is so endearing, really. So yeah.
Yeah. And you also need a little bit of the humor and ability to look at things, and levity and lightness when you do the trainings to carry you through, as you said, because of course it's a professional in-depth training, and with that come a lot of challenges. But we laugh here a lot at the training center, and our students enjoy being
Hmm.
together and collaborating and overcoming those challenges together, and you're always there to laugh with them, which is amazing.
Yes, yeah. And I think a lot of people also, in at least in hindsight, maybe not while it's going on, but after then, when they come to graduation, right? They often have this feeling that, wow, I didn't know that I was capable of so much work or such a dedication, or it's going into depth, or even, if it's just like I wasn't aware that I could draw, or that I could
Yeah.
sing, or that I was actually capable of doing long division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that our adult students come with a lot of baggage to
Yeah.
us, right? A lot of many years of school that maybe have not been as happy as they could have been, right?
Yeah.
And so they might be anxious about themselves. They might have doubts about themselves. They might not feel very great about their abilities of learning or doing something, right? And so we also help them to experience that with the help of the materials, for example, and with the help of the group, the community. They can overcome these things. They can relearn, and they can teach themselves and maybe change the view of themselves.
Yeah. That's one of the most beautiful things that we can see, right? When there's a diploma course and we see that happens.
Mhm.
So we start at the end of March. Can you share a few words, Madlena, please, about the format so that people know this is now everybody? This is an official invitation for you to join us. And I know that probably a lot of you are Madlena's former students, and I was almost thinking at some point of like bringing somebody here to the stage and ask them some questions, but that would take a long time. Maybe we can do it in 2 weeks when we have another session that we ask somebody to share how was it to get the training, or maybe we can invite your TOTs, Madlena, and have
Mhm.
Larissa and Millie and the other two TOTs join us, because we are giving this diploma course in English, but we have a really amazing group of trainers in training coming, and we have uh, uh, help me. We have a French speaker. We have a German. No, you speak German. Then we have a Czech speaking trainer in training, and then we have two others.
Russian,
Russian,
Russian/Ukrainian, yes,
yes, and,
and possibly Finnish.
and possibly Finnish. So the main language of the course is English, but you can write your albums in all of these languages because we will be able to read them in your own language, and that's so awesome for you.
Mm-hmm.
So just a few words about the format, and then we'll I know you have to run to your other obligations. So
That's okay. I'm reading student submissions at the time, so that's okay.
yes.
So yeah, so this course is organized in different blocks and modules, trying out a way where we can be together kind of like in short increments, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maximum 4 weeks, so that it doesn't take people away from their families and their job for too long time. I mean, there's great things about being a student for a whole block or something, but also in the reality of everyday life, it is often
Yeah,
easier for people to come at slightly shorter
yeah,
times.
yeah.
And then it is a blended course. So that means that part of the work will be also online. We might be meeting online, but there will also be a good deal of this kind of like self study where you might be watching a presentation or a lecture as a video recording that we have made beforehand, and then you need to work with this in some way or another. You might need to write a summary, or maybe do a visual summary, or maybe just prepare yourself so that you can watch specifically also presentations or lectures beforehand, and when you then come, then you have more time to practice, or you are ready for a discussion or something else that we are going to
Mhm.
work with this. So we're going to work with the Montessori content in various ways. So that there's also a variety of different kinds of work where it's like, again, the material making, writing presentations, writing longer theory texts, but also shorter ones, like as a summary, for example, or a reflection that is connected to what you have read in the books.
Mhm. And in terms of language schemes, then we'll be able to cover English, Czech, Russian, German, possibly.
Yeah, well, that's what we have thought so far. The materials that we have at the training center is English, Czech, and Russian, right? So
Yes.
we can start there, and then what we will be able to do for sure is to also speak with people and maybe help them to figure out what's special about your language and what kind of things would you need to think about when you want to maybe build up the language scheme, or if you have the language scheme already in your country, but it exists already, maybe there are parts of it that you feel a little bit unsure about, or that you would like to work more on. So
Okay, thank you. There's a note for you from Tanya. Can you
I
see
saw
it?
that.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I,
Tanya, for yes. And Tanya, if I'm sure you're Madlena's former student, come in 2 weeks, and maybe you can share how is it to get a diploma course with Madlena. We'll be talking more again in 2 weeks. Okay, I think for thank you so much, Madlena, for this. For everybody who is watching or who will be watching this recording, because it's going to stay at the Montessori Institute Prague Facebook page for other people to watch later if they want to find out about the diploma course. I will just repeat, we are starting. Yeah, and Tanya says, yes, I will. Great. Thank you, Tanya. We're going to start at the end of March. Madlena is the trainer, and we are now open for enrollments. So our website is www.amiprague.cz. You found us here, so you'll be able to find our website as well, and you can write us with any of your questions. And we'll be really happy if you join us, because this is going to be an extraordinary course. Madlena Ulrich, teaching in the heart of Europe.
Yes, it will be enjoyable. I mean, we have been kind of like talking about this for a long time, but other courses have been going on in the meantime. So I'm very happy to become part of that team in Prague. Yes.
Thank you, Madlena. So are we.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So everybody, I'm going to hit the end stream button. Thank you. We are so happy that you joined us. Come again next week. We have another interesting topic coming up next week on Monday, again at 4:00. And thank you, Plummy. I think Pluminka is probably with us because she just put in chat the link for the diploma course. So it's there. Thank you so much, Plummy. Madlena, thank you for coming, and we'll talk more in 2 weeks. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye for now. Bye bye.